the beginning, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, הוא כתב מסכת נזיקין, זה היה מסכת נזיקין נקרא. מסכת נזיקין היה כוללת את כל הדינים המונות, כל הבבות. אבל היה יותר מדי, פשוט מסכת אחת נזיקין, יותר מדי עמוק, יותר מדי פרטים לקחת כל ביחד. אז מה עשו? חילקו את זה לשלוש בבות. בבא קמא, חלק הראשון, בבא מציע, חלק האמצעי, ובבא בתרא, חלק הסופי. זה פשט שלה. קמא, מציע ובתרא שגמא, שבעצם שגם מסכת נזיקין, שעכשיו הרבה לא יודעים בכלל מה השם של המסכת, קוראים לזה בבא קמא, אבל זה מה שקרה. So, please help yourself with a Gemara, and I'll fill you in. Holding now.
What's the page? 36b, something?
So, we are holding right now at page Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, which is also in the English side 36a2. Alright, so just to fill you in a little bit, what we're discussing right now is the degree of liability, of achayut, that one may have when holding in his possession an object, an item that belongs to his friend, that belongs to somebody else. That is called, in the terminology of the Talmud, a shomer, a custodian, a guardian. But when you say a shomer, usually you're thinking, oh, shomer means someone who either is doing it for free, as a favor, or he's doing it for payment, but he's a shomer, he's an official guardian, an official custodian. The truth is, when you say custodian, in Hebrew, when you say shomrim, it includes other categories, other types of people that at first glance you wouldn't categorize them as shomrim. For instance, a sho'el, someone who borrows, he becomes liable for the object of his friend. So he is, in a way, a shomer. He's got to keep, he's got to protect, he's got to safeguard the object of his friend properly, and he's got to return it. Okay? So right away he's a shomer, although you wouldn't necessarily in English call him a custodian, he's a borrower, right? But in the laws of liability, he falls under the categories of arba'a shomer. So let's go through them briefly. We have the first type of custodian is the shomer chinam, which means the unpaid custodian. This is typically someone who is doing a favor, and you have to go for 10 minutes or for a month or for whatever it is, and you say, could you please keep that for me? As soon as he says yes, and he takes it in his possession, he's becoming now a shomer chinam with a certain degree, a certain level of liability that is expected from him. Obviously, because he's doing a favor, it will be the lowest level of liability. So when you say liability, let's divide it into 3 degrees, 3 levels. The basic level that every shomer is liable, including the unpaid custodian, the first one we're discussing, is called pshia. Pshia means that you're a poshea, that simply you did not protect the object, you did not safeguard the object, and due to your negligence, due to your pshia, the object was damaged, lost, disappeared, whatever it is. That you're liable. Okay, for instance, the object is in your house, and you go out for a moment, and you open all the doors, welcoming thieves, obviously, open all the doors without any achayut, without any responsibility, so to say. Due to your negligence, the object disappeared. Well, you're liable. Okay? The second level of liability would be, in Hebrew we call it Gneva and Aveda. Gneva and Aveda means it was stolen or it was lost, but not due to your pshia. This is a common thing that could happen to certain object, right? It got lost, it got stolen, but you've done everything you could. I mean, you've done everything that would normally be expected from someone holding on to an object. So if you're shomer chinam, if you're an unpaid custodian, you're not liable. Got stolen, got lost, you've done everything, the guy comes back, says, what is this? Patur, okay, you're fine. How much more so the highest degree of liability, which would be damages done to the object out of your control, beyond any control of anyone. For instance, it died. So let's say if it's an animal, very common in the Talmud, a cow, a para, it died. Natural causes. You didn't do anything with it. It was in the backyard and it died. It was its time. Or let's say in our days, you're holding on to the iPad of your friend and the iPad died. It got broken, right? There's nothing you can do about it. So that's called, in the terminology of the Talmud, unseen. Unseen, ones, right? So of course, the shomer chinam is not liable. It's fine. Pshia, yes. Gneva aveda, no. How much more so unseen? No. That's shomer chinam. That's the first type of custodian. Second type is shomer sachar. He's doing a business. He's getting paid for it, and therefore, it is expected from him, legally speaking, a higher degree, a higher level of liability. Which would mean, pshia, of course, he'll be liable. Even gneva and aveda, he will be liable, but unseen is not liable. Then you've got someone who we discussed, actually, for the past few weeks, and that is a socher, a renter. So, remind me your name? Chezi. Chezi owns a car rental company, and I'm going to Chezi and say, Chezi, do me a favor, can I please rent for 2 weeks? He says, sure, it's going to be $100 a day, nice car, nice minivan, whatever it is. I'm thinking minivan. I have kids, right? Baruch Hashem. So, and you're thinking minivan too. So Baruch Hashem, we understand each other. I say, fine. Now I've got the minivan. You own it. You're the owner. I'm the renter. I am a custodian. I become a shomer because while the car is in my possession, I can't say, well, I'm renting it, but I can leave the car just. I'm supposed it is expected from me to safeguard, to protect, to keep the car in my property in a way that I should be able to return it to you in good conditions. What happens if something happened to the car? So it depends. Well, first you have to define what degree of liability the socher is. So that is beyond the scope of this sugya, of this subject right now. Because there is an argument, there is a machloket in the Shas, in the Gemara, whether the socher would be like a shomer chinam or a shomer sachar. How do you view this transaction? Do you say, well, he paid for the use of the car, but now holding on to the car, it's really a shomer chinam, it's really a favor he does. It's not really expected. He has agreed, of course, by taking the car, he has agreed to be a shomer chinam, but he's a shomer chinam. Or you say, no, he's a shomer sachar. There is an argument in the Gemara. And by the way, maybe eventually it's an interesting, the Gemara doesn't explain it clearly, but in the Acharonim, in the later scholars, there is a fascinating explanation to define the renter whether you define them as a shomer chinam and as a shomer sachar, it depends on all kind of different things, which we'll leave it for another time.
What is the bottom line? What was decided? Is it
What is the halacha?
Yeah.
The halacha, I don't know.
okay?
The halacha, I don't know. I know it's Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Right now on the spot, I can't tell you. I don't know. You can look it up easily. Yeah, I don't know. It's a machlok. So, you've got the socher. Now, what that means is that the socher will for sure be liable for any pshia. He will not be liable for any onsim. The question is in between gneva and naver. Finally, you have the fourth type of custodian, and that is the shoel, the borrower. Okay? So when the borrower borrows something, he is kol ana shelo. He's the worst case in terms of liability because he doesn't pay for the use of the object. He's allowed to use the object, right? So all the benefit is on his side. The shomer chinam, for instance, doesn't get paid. Shomer sachar does get paid, but both of them can't use the object. They're not allowed to. The socher, he's allowed to use, that's the condition, but he's paying for it. The shoel, he doesn't pay for it and he's allowed to use it. Therefore, he is getting the highest level of liability, which means that he will be liable not only for pshia, for gneva and aveda, and even for onsim. No matter what happened to it, he's going to have to reimburse, to bring back, to return the object. It died, you bring back the object. You bring back the iPad, pay a new one. Right? That's the borrowing, according to halacha. So right now where we're holding is a question as such. Shomer shemasar leshomer. Okay? So for example, I don't want to make family problems here.
Yeah.
Or cousins.
We live too far away.
But you'll live too far away. But in the context of this Gemara, we'll have some issues with it. Remind me your name. Maya. So Maya, so there is Chezi, Maya, and Nir. Okay, it's perfect scenario. We need three people. The thing is, you're both married,
yeah,
so you're both the owner of. Okay, or put me in the picture. Okay, Chezi, we'll give you some peace of mind for that. Let's say I'm the owner of a motorcycle. And why motorcycle? I don't know. Just something creative. We went through bikes, computers, motorcycle. So I'm holding a motorcycle, and I say to Maya, I have to go and attend a conference somewhere in New York. Would you mind to please hold keep the motorcycle? She says, sure, no problem. We've got a spot in our garage, so we'll stay there, safe, good and that. And let's say it won't make a difference, but let's say for the sake of the example, you're shomer chinam, meaning you're doing it as a favor. Fine, thank you very much, and I go to the conference. In the meantime, both of you have an unexpected chasana, a wedding in San Francisco to attend, and you're not sure what to do with the motorcycle because you feel some type of responsibility, you've got to keep it. So you say, you call Neil. You say, Neil, we are going away. Would you mind to hold the motorcycle? And in fact, Maya is very responsible, so she feels bad, she's not going to be. So you actually pay Neil $10 a day for shomer sachar for holding onto the motorcycle. So far, so good, right? Now, of course, the motorcycle broke down, dead. Nir did not use it, okay? He did not use it. He did everything was possible. He put it in fact, it was a schlep. He put it in his condo over here, and the neighbors were complaining, but he did a big favor to Maya. He's getting paid $10 a day, but it was a big schlep and everything. I'm coming back from the conference after a month. So where is this? Oh, by the way, it was by Nir. Let's get it back. We get it back. It's not working. Go to the mechanic. He says the engine is dead. Oliver Shalom, say Kaddish 3 times a day. Finish. So, what do we do now?
It's unseen, so.
Okay, very good. So, first thought, Neil says it's unseen. Which means, number 1, do you have to pay Maya? No. Okay. By the way, if it gets stolen, he will have to pay you. Okay? But this is unseen, he says. So, unseen is patur. Does Maya have to reimburse me the motorcycle? You say no. Why?
I'm doing you a favor.
And therefore? But you still are custodian, right? You're still a shomer chinam. But it's unseen, correct? So because it's a favor, it's shomer chinam, unseen is... So that's what the Rav says. The Rav says, there is no liability. You patur, everyone is patur. I'm stuck with a broken motorcycle. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan, he comes and he says, no. We've got a problem. He says like this. When it comes between Nir and you, Nir says unseen, he's patur. But when it becomes between Maya and me, Rabbi Yochanan says the owner can claim. Ein retzoni shetehe pigdoni beyad acher. In other words, I can claim and say, I understand it's unseen in Nir's, but Rabbi Yochanan views the fact that you transfer the motorcycle in his property, that be considered a pshia. Because the owner can claim, in a motorcycle it will be a difficult claim, but in the case of a para, for example, as such as in the Talmud, let's say you live in the valley, he lives in the mountain, and it died. The owner can very well claim, says, I give it to you because my para, I know my para, she can only take the air there in the valley. And therefore, you brought it to the mountain. Maybe that killed the para. Or let's say, you live in, Richmond, where the airport is. Very calm, very peaceful. Downtown is a little bit more, not like LA, but still. I can claim, I say, listen, in the environment of Richmond, I was safe with my motorcycle. The air is not polluted, the engines, the whatever. But in downtown, all kind of things happens there. So he says, Ein retzoni shete pigdoni biyad acher is a claim that the owner can say. And therefore, although you're shomer chinam, you will be. So could you imagine, even though you went up into the level of safekeeping the object, right? You even paid someone, nonetheless, the fact that you give it to somebody else, you transfer it to somebody else without the consent of the owner, you become now all of a sudden liable for anything, because that itself is considered the pshia. Okay? This is what Rabbi Yochanan says. Okay? This is what we studied actually last week. So now, hi Moshe. Now at this point, we are going to bring in, and this is a typical Talmudic style. So we had a case, an argument, and now we've got a Mishnah. We actually came back from that Mishnah. this is how we travel so far for the past 4 weeks. There is a Mishnah with an interesting case. And the Gemara will try to challenge Rabbi Yochanan's opinion when analyzing the Mishnah and the case of the Mishnah a little bit better, a little bit deeper. Meaning that when I take a look at the Mishnah again, it might seem like a conflict with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. So, let's take a look inside just for a few lines. Yeah, let's take a look. The Gemara challenges Rabbi Yochanan's opinion from a ruling in the Mishnah. Yativ Rab Ami. Rab Ami sat, v'ko'amal la lehashmata, and related this teaching of his mentor, Rabbi Yochanan. And when he said that, itive Rabbi Abba bar Mimar le Rab Ami. Rab Abba bar Mimar responded to Rab Ami by bringing up the Mishnah, asking him a question. It says to him like this. It says in the Mishnah, if one rents a cow from his fellow, and the renter lent it to another, and subsequently the cow died naturally, the renter shall swear that it died naturally, and the borrower must pay the value of the cow to the renter. What is the case of the Mishnah? There is a socher and a shoel. So again, 3 people, an owner, a renter, and a borrower. Moshe, you're the owner of the cow.
Pleasure.
It's not a red cow, don't worry. So it's a regular cow. You're the owner, and you're renting the cow to Chezi for, let's say, $25 a day. Sounds good? You've got some work to do, planting your fields, gardens, all kind of good things. And was for a month, okay? In the meantime, Habendad Magia, my cousin says, by the way, Chezi, I hear you have a cow. Wouldn't you mind to lend me the cow? Favor. Okay, so he's going to borrow the cow from you. So sure, go ahead. Simcha. And the cow died while by me. So, what do we do?
Yeah, it's liable.
Very good. Nir is liable, balancing is a bar. To who does Nir has to pay? To Chezi. Very good. So that's number 1, that's for sure. Now, Chezi is a renter. What's happening between Chezi and the owner? The owner comes and says, where's my cow?
I say honest.
You say honest. Very good. You say unseen. Now we have to know for sure that it was unseen, so you have to make a shvuah. You have to swear. That's the law, by the way. Meaning, let's say if it would have died by you, this is exactly what you would have to do. You would have said, well, honest, swear, you would swear and you would be exempt. It died by him. But says the Mishnah, it's irrelevant, it died by him. You, an unseen happened to it, you're not liable to pay to him. But he is liable to pay to you, so actually you're coming out with the value of a cow. Right? You did a good business in this transaction. This is what the Mishnah is telling us. Do you see that as a conflict to Rabbi Yochanan?
It's just like the other incident, that he wasn't, that he was Hashlan by giving it to him.
Well, yeah. By Rabbi Yochanan, my giving the cow to him was a pshia.
Very good.
Yeah.
But the renter has the sort to rent it or to borrow it.
Land.
Has
The legitimate.
yeah,
To lend it to someone.
yeah.
How do you know that?
Because once he rents,
He's the
he's the owner, like
No, it's not.
temporary.
he's
not,
a temporary owner.
He's not a temporary owner.
not a temporary, but he's allowed to use it. Who said that using
Not
doesn't
renting
include
out.
borrowing it?
Lending,
Sorry.
lending it.
Le-
He lent it to you, you borrowed it from him.
yeah.
שואל, זה משאיר.
So, good question. This is what you come up on your own, right? Meaning, logically speaking, you're saying use would include also lending it to someone else. Well, this is not so simple. Legally speaking, okay, from a Talmudic point of view, when Chezi rented, he can do whatever he wants with it. The condition of the rental is that this cow is going to be used and remain by Chezi. This is the underlying condition for any normal rental in terms of Talmudic law.
Why is that
So in fact
trivial?
is that he was not allowed really. And as Maya says, Chezi, according to Rabbi Yochanan, was a rashlan, meaning he has done here a pshia by giving it to a different property, to a different person. So the owner, the maskir, can say to Chezi, well, en retzoni shete pigdoni biyadachem. But the Mishnah doesn't say that. The Mishnah says, Nir pays Chezi, good, then Chezi is Yeshava and is patur. As the Gemara, the question is, the Mishnah is a conflict to Rabbi Yochanan. Now, before I take your question, let me just add one more thing, and this is a principle in the Talmud that will help you when learning the Talmud on your own or with any other subject you're going to come across in the Talmud. This is a very important principle. There is the Mishnah, and then there is the Gemara. These are the names of the books, but the names of the individuals, in the Mishnah, all the ones who are speaking are Tanaim. Such as Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes, right? Rabbi Akiva, they're all Tanaim. And they lived at the time of the Mishnah, and they composed the Mishnah. The Gemara came later, 400 years later, and the individuals of the Gemara are called Amoraim. An Amora would be like Abaye, Rava, Rabbi Yochanan, Rav, Shmuel. Okay? These will be the Amoraim. Now this is by the way, how do you tell if it's an Amora or a Tana? Usually, a Tana is called Rabbi, and Amora is called Rav, without the Yud. There's other ways to tell. Another way to tell also is when the Gemara brings up in quotes. It quotes, let's say, Mishnah, or anything, in Baraita, which was also said by the Tanaim, it would say Tana, or Tanya. But when it would bring sayings or laws from the Amoraim, it would say Amarmar. Amarmar would be a saying from an Amora, not from a Mishnah. Now, why is it important to know that? Is because an Amora cannot in any way go against the Mishnah, disagree with the Mishnah. You can say, well, I hold differently. Can't do that. Tanaim, between themselves, they can argue and one can override the other. They have the power, being at that level, that status of a Tana. But an Amora cannot. So if an Amora says an opinion, and you see that there is a Mishnah that contradicts that, you've got a conflict. And you can answer it one of two ways. Either you would say, find support to this Amora's opinion for another Tana. So in that case, it isn't this Amora that argues with that Tana. This Amora really is supported by that Tana, and that Tana argue with that Tana. Let them have that fight together, it's fine. Or you would say, let me clarify to you something. You didn't really understand either the Mishnah, or you didn't really understand what the Amora is saying, and truly there is no machloket over here. They basically agree. You just need to clarify something. Okay? So, but right now, what do we have? We have Rabbi Yochanan, and we have a Mishnah, and we have a conflict. So you would say, so what? It's two opinions. I mean, we all know that. There is all kinds of different opinions in the Talmud. The question is because Rabbi Yochanan is an Amora. The Mishnah is a Tana. And if the Mishnah says something, Rabbi Yochanan cannot disagree with that. So from the Mishnah we imply that when you gave to another shomer, it is not a rashlanut, it's fine. And I cannot come to, Moshe actually in this case, the owner cannot come to you and say, how do we know that? Because the Mishnah says, the socher is patur. That seems to support the opinion of Rav that we saw earlier. However, Rabbi Yochanan says no. Rabbi Yochanan in this case apparently would say, couldn't give it to someone else. And that was a pshia. Okay? So this is the question that we have. How do we resolve this problem? Moshe,
You,
you had a question.
I was wondering why it comes so trivial. The fact that if it's, I think that if it's so-called begeder acceptable use of that para,
For near.
yeah, acceptable use, like, you know, by, I don't know, by looking around or by acceptable opinion.
Acceptable
public
normal
opinion,
use.
yeah. So, I
Tell you like
think
this.
here it lies,
I'll tell you
and I
this.
haven't heard.
I mentioned it earlier. The owner can claim, this is what Rabbi Yochanan's thinking goes. The owner can claim and say that the environment of your, I agreed for my cow to be in that particular environment. The environment of Nir's home, which he lives in a whole different city, in a different area, and this now kid goes to my para something. You could claim that. You know, by the way, in the rental car, you know, you've got conditions that you can't drive them in a different country. And that's very similar to that. Different countries drive differently, right? And for example, in Europe, you know, there are some countries you can't go according to the rental conditions, because the rental company feels that the driving in those countries may add to the risk of the accident, which they will not take responsibility, or the loss, or the theft, or all kind of things that happen in those countries, which they would say, you know, we don't allow that car to be there, right? It's similar thinking in a way. Right? So how do we resolve the Mishnah? I'm going to go back to a thought that Neil just mentioned. Let me just conclude here. Ve'im ita, and if it is true that an unauthorized transfer of the pikadon generally constitute an act of negligence, lemale, let the owner tell the renter, and retzoni shetei pikdoni biyad acher. It is not my desire that my deposit shall be in another's hands. So the Gemara explained that the Mishnah refers to a special case. Omar le Rabani said to Rab Amma, and let me clarify here in the Mishnah with what situation are we dealing? Where the owner gave the renter permission to lend the cow to a third party. Since the transfer was authorized, the first shomer is not liable. Says Rab Ami, let me reveal to you a detail here that you didn't know. The Mishnah's case is not a regular case. In a regular case, you write that Chezi would be liable to pay, because as Rabbi Yochanan claimed, and even the Mishnah agrees with that claim. Our Mishnah speaks about a case where Moshe said to Chezi initially, you have my rushut, you have my permission to lend it to someone. And therefore, it wasn't a pshia on your end. Okay? Which sounds like a simple answer. Very, very simple, very logical. If Moshe gave permission to Chezi, so when Chezi lended, was it a pshia? No. Okay? So it sounds like a basic, logical answer. So we are holding right now at page Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, which is also in the English side 36A2. All right. So just to fill you in a little bit, what we're discussing right now is the degree of liability, of achayut, that one may have when holding in his possession an object, an item that belongs to his friend, that belongs to somebody else. That is called, in the terminology of the Talmud, a shomer, a custodian, a guardian. But when you say a shomer, usually you're thinking, oh, shomer means someone who either is doing it for free, as a favor, or is doing it for payment, but he's a shomer, an official guardian, an official custodian. The truth is, when you say custodian, in Hebrew, when you say degree, a certain level of liability that is expected from him. Obviously, because he's doing a favor, it will be the lowest level of liability. So when you say liability, let's divide it into 3 degrees, 3 levels. The basic level that every shomer is liable, including the unpaid custodian, the first one we're discussing, is called pshia. Pshia means that you're poshea, that simply you did not protect the object, you did not safeguard the object, and due to your negligence, due to your pshia, the object was damaged, lost, disappeared, whatever it is. That you're liable. Okay, for instance, the object is in your house, and you go out for a moment, and you open all the doors, welcoming thieves, obviously, open all the doors without any achayut, without any responsibility, so to say. Due to your negligence, the object disappeared. Well, at the beginning, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, הוא כתב מסכת נזיקין, זה היה מסכת נזיקין נקרא. מסכת נזיקין היה כוללת את כל הדינים המונות, כל הבבות. אבל היה יותר מדי, פשוט מסכת אחת, נזיקין, יותר מדי עמוק, יותר מדי פרטים לקחת כל ביחד. אז מה עשו? חילקו את זה ויש 3 בבות. בבא קמא, חלק הראשון, בבא מציע, חלק האמצעי, ובבא בהתחלה, חלק הסופי. זה פשט שלה. קמא, מציע ובהתחלה של מה? שבעצם, של המסכת נזיקין, שעכשיו הרבה לא יודעים בכלל מה השם של המסכת, קוראים לזה בבא קמא, אבל זה מה שקרה. So, please help yourself with a Gemara, and I'll fill you in. Holding now.
page? 36b, something?
You're liable. Okay? The second level of liability would be, in Hebrew we call it Gneva and Aveda. Gneva and Aveda means it was stolen or it was lost, but not due to your pshia. This is a common thing that could happen to certain object, right? It got lost, it got stolen, but you've done everything you could. I mean, you've done everything that would normally be expected from someone holding on to an object. So if you're shomer chinam, if you're an unpaid custodian, you're not liable. Got stolen, got lost, you've done everything, the guy comes back, says, what is this? Patur, okay, you're fine. How much more so the highest degree of liability, which would be damages done to the object out of your control, beyond any control of anyone. For instance, it died. So let's say if it's an animal, very common in the Talmud, a cow, a para, it died. Natural causes. You didn't do anything with it. It was shomrim. It includes other categories, other types of people that at first glance you wouldn't categorize them as shomrim. For instance, a shoel, someone who borrows, he becomes liable for the object of his friend. So he is, in a way, a shomer. He's got to keep, he's got to protect, he's got to safeguard the object of his friends properly, and he's got to return it. Okay? So right away he's a shomer, although you wouldn't necessarily in English call him a custodian, he's a borrower, right? But in the laws of liability, he falls under the categories of arba'a shomer. So let's go through them briefly. We have the first type of custodian is the shomer chinam, which means the unpaid custodian. This is typically someone who is doing a favor, and you have to go for 10 minutes or for a month or for whatever it is, and you say, could you please keep that for me? As soon as he says yes, and he takes it in his possession, he's becoming now a shomer chinam with a certain